Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the 9 p.m. news telecast of the prestigious channel of Sri Lanka. I'm Charita Minupurarachi.
And I'm Kasini Balachandra Adhikari. We start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Kandy Esala Festival successfully concludes. Scroll of memorandum presented to the President. Grade 5 scholarship exam of the year begins tomorrow. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa expresses readiness to resolve the professional disputes of government doctors. Recreation of 1,000 paddy storages commences. 1,267 suspects arrested in connection of numerous crimes. Discussions to end the Russia-Ukraine war is to start next week.
On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. The water cutting ritual of the Kandy Esala festival was successfully concluded.
The traditional water cutting ceremony was conducted in the 4 Mahadevalayas this morning. The festival has come to an end with the conducting of the daytime Perahara.
The Kandy Esala festival has commenced on the 30th of last month. The final Randoli Perahara has paraded the streets yesterday. A large number of devotees has flocked to the Kandy city this time as well to watch the Perahara. President Anandakumar Dissanayake has watched the pageant by staying with the crowds. The spectators were engaged in friendly discussion with the President prior to the commencement of the Perahara. The final Randoli pageant has commenced at the auspicious time of 6:51 last evening. The sacred relic casket was carried by Vasana Tasker of the Ruhunu Katharagama Mahadevalaya. Singharaja Tasker of the Sri Dalada Maligava and Pulathisi Raja Tasker flanked the majestic elephant. The Perahara, which started on the north direction, proceeded along Dalanda Vidya, Yatinura Vidya, Cross Street, El Senanayaka Street, Kandy Vidya and DS Senanayaka Vidya to Queen Street and returned to its abode. The final Randoli pageant, upon parade in the streets, according to ancient traditions, placed the sacred relic casket at the Asgiri Gedige Rajamahapihare. Thereafter, the Peraharas of the Natha, Vishnu, Katharagama and Pattini Devalayas proceeded towards the Gatabe port to the Mahavali river and performed the water cutting ritual. Large crowds were present at the location since this morning. After performing the historic ritual, the Peraharas of the 4 Mahadevalayas proceeded towards Pullayar Kovil in Kandy to conduct the religious rituals. The noon Perahara of the Kandy Esala festival left the Asgiri Gedige Rajamahapihare at the auspicious time of 2:16 p.m. today. The 4 Mahadevala Peraharas of the Pullayar Kovil also joined the Dalanda Perahara. The casket of the daytime Perahara was carried by Singharaja Tasker of the Sri Dalanda Maligava. This elephant was flanked by the Taskers Pulathisi Raja and Kotte Raja. The Perahara left the Gedige Rajamahapihare and proceeded along DS Senanayaka Vidya, Temple Road and Deva Vidya towards Raja Vidya. It paid homage to the Baligava Square on 3 occasions and returned to its abode at the auspicious time of 4:42 in the evening.
The Devadana Nilame of Sri Dalanda Maligava Pradeep Nilangadana handed over the scroll of memorandum on the successful conclusion of the Kandy Esala Perahara to President Anandakumar Dissanayake at the President's house in Kandy.
It has been a ritual since the ancient times to inform the head of the state to ceremoniously and successful conclusion of the Esala pageant. The President, symbolizing the acceptance of the memorandum, has planted the sapling in front of the President's mansion. Thereafter, the President has presided over the handing over prizes to the artists who took part in the Perahera. President Anurukumar Dissanayake has also called the Mahanayaka Theras of the Balwad and Askiriya chapters and received their blessings this afternoon. The President has first visited the Mahanayaka Thera of the Balwad chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera at the Malwatu Mahavihare. Thereafter, the President has called on Mahanayaka of the Askiriya chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thera at the Askiriya Mahavihare.
The Grade 5 Scholarship Examination of 2025 is scheduled to be conducted tomorrow. The Department of Examination says all arrangements have been made to successfully conduct the examination at 2,787 centres throughout the island.
370,959 candidates will sit for this year's examination. All propaganda pertaining to the examination has ended at midnight on the 6th of this month. Commissioner General of Examinations Indika Kumari says all candidates should report to the examination halls by 8:30 in the morning.
Commissioner General of Examinations Indika Kumari said that the second question paper would be held first with a duration of 1 hour and 15 minutes. She said that it would start at 9:30 am and end at 10:45 am, after which there would be a break. She explained that only afterwards would the first question paper be given to the children. She added that the first paper would also have a duration of 1 hour starting at 11:15 am and ending at 12:15 pm. She reminded the young students to bring only the necessary items such as pens, pencils, erasers and similar materials in a purse to the examination hall. She mentioned that if they need to keep track of time, they could use a normal wristwatch but not a smartwatch, and that other electronic devices will be prohibited in the hall. She advised the students to read the paper carefully, stay calm and answer the questions properly, expressing her confidence that they would face the examination well.
Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre has taken measures to conduct an island-wide special program in the evening of managing any unforeseen disastrous situation island-wide. Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipili, said that the special phone numbers has been introduced from that day onwards for the scholarship examination. He explained that in addition to the emergency operations room, the Disaster Management Centre had set up a special room to safeguard the well-being of students through these hotlines. He added that they were always operational on the number 011 6681819. He said that if the disaster of natural hazard occurred, arrangements had been made to ensure that the students could reach the examination centres on time and without obstruction in order to sit for the examination. Specialist physician on child and youth psychology at the Ragama Medical Faculty, Professor Biru Chandradasa, requests parents and adults to focus special attention on the mental well-being of the children facing the examination. Professor Biru Chandradasa said that he wanted to tell the children that the scholarship examination to be held tomorrow is very important, but that it would not decide everything in their lives. He advised them to face it in the best way possible and especially urged parents not to cause unnecessary mental stress to the children at this time. He said that on the day before the examination, parents should let them relax and not introduce lessons or topics that they had not studied before. He encouraged them to briefly revise what they already knew and to prepare calmly, noting that the scholarship exam was a significant effort for a 10-year-old. He also advised parents not to ask their children what answers they had written after the exam, explaining that discussions it could cause negative reactions in their young minds. He concluded by saying that giving them time to enjoy freedom after the exam was the best approach. And meanwhile, the national celebration of the International Day of the World's Indigenous People, which falls today, was held this morning at the Indigenous Museum premises, Tabana, under the patronage of President Anurakkumar Dissanayake. Sri Lanka's foremost indigenous leader, Vishwakirti Vanaspati Uruvarige Vanila initiated the tradition of celebrating World's Indigenous Peoples Day in Sri Lanka following his participation in the Indigenous Summit held in Geneva in 1996. Accordingly, the first international celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day in Sri Lanka was held in 1999 at Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo. This year's celebration, jointly organized by various public and private institutions, was marked with vibrant cultural events unique to the indigenous community, including the traditional Kirikoraha ritual performed to invoke blessings for peace and prosperity. The event commenced with the President Anurakkumar Dissanayake paying floral tributes to the statue of late indigenous community leader Uruvarige Tisahamiatto, followed by the ceremonial planting of a white sandalwood sapling in the museum's central courtyard. On this occasion, Sri Lanka's current indigenous community leader Vishwakirti Sri Vanaspati Uruvarige Vanila presented the President with a message outlining the concerns of the indigenous community along with a commemorative plaque. President Dissanayake also presented a gift to the indigenous leader. The event also featured the commencement of stalls, construction to display and sell products from the indigenous community, the launch of Sri Lanka's first indigenous herbal soap, Kaire, produced using traditional knowledge and locally sourced ingredients. During the event, certificates were awarded to indigenous women who successfully completed the Ayurvedic soap manufacturing training program. Attendees, including the Minister of Buddhism, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Dr. Hiriduma Sunil Senami, other ministers, government officials, Canadian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Eric Walsh, officials from the Canadian High Commission, and a number of invited guests.
Visiting Governor-General of Australia Samantha Joy Mostyn had a joyful time with Sri Lanka's farming community, female representatives and young cricketers. For a short period, she became a beekeeper in Bandaragama and played cricket with youngsters at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. The Governor-General visited the Kolonderia Yakantua Batta area in Bandaragama today to observe progress in a community development initiative supporting rural women through beekeeping. Under the direct aid program of the Australian High Commission, the Bee Weather project has been launched to uplift rural livelihoods by providing training and equipment in 4 key areas: beekeeping, organic fertilizer production, Ayurvedic plant cultivation and entrepreneurship. As a part of this project, 50 women from the Bandaragama Kolamanteriya Yakanduavatta area have been provided with necessary tools and training to begin beekeeping. During her visit, the Governor Mostyn observed a live demonstration of transferring bees into a hive and personally tasted freshly collected honey while wearing a beekeeping suit. The initiative is being implemented under the Sri Lanka Imesh Foundation. In a separate engagement early in the day, the Governor visited the Galle International Cricket Stadium where she played cricket with a group of school children. She also presented cricket gear to male and female players from cricket clubs in the Galle district. Popular South Indian actress Tamanna Bhatia has arrived in Sri Lanka today to take part in shooting of a film. She is expected to remain in the island for 3 days. 35-year-old Tamanna Bhatia is well known in the Indian cinema field for her portrayal of main characters in the Tamil, Telugu and Hindi films. She has acted in 89 movies. Among Sri Lankan fans, she has become more popular due to her roles in movies like Bahubali. The Indian movie star has arrived in Sri Lanka this afternoon and is scheduled to engage in shooting in several areas including Anuradhapura. She will act in an Indo-Lanka joint commercial propaganda clip as well. More stories coming right after this break.
Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Taking a look at more local stories, Health and Mass Media Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says that the government is ready to provide solutions to the professional problems of the government medical officers. He reiterates that there is no need for the Government Medical Officers Association to engage in a strike. The minister has made these remarks participating in an annual academic session of the specialist physicians on emergency treatment today. The theme of this year's conference was A Bridge to the Future of Medical Science in Sri Lanka on Emergency Treatment. The minister has pointed out on this occasion that the concept of emergency treatment in the medical service should not be restricted to hospitals alone. This practice should be expanded to all locations where such needs arise. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that they are in the process of rectifying this situation, and this is a fact well known to the government medical officials and other relevant officials. The minister has reiterated that cooperation of every officer is essential in the task of reconstructing the Ministry of Health, which had been purposefully downgraded. The government has clarified on this issue more than necessary. The minister further said that only the GMOA, but all doctors know full well that the reason behind this calamity. He added that when they took over the Ministry of Health, they had obtained orders on purchasing of drugs and equipment needed by the hospitals and successfully concluded the procedure. This program was conducted prior to the 31st of January this year. It was due to the first time in history of Health Ministry that purchasing orders were completed within the first month of year. Procurement process was entrusted upon the State Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Corporation. Some tenders have been provided for local manufacturing of medicine. The orders for the importation are scheduled to arrive by November of this year, as the importation procedure roughly takes around 9 months and 2 weeks.
Under the paddy storage renovation program of the farmers, construction of 100 model paddy storages has commenced. The program is being implemented under the program of 1,000 agricultural entrepreneurs titled Aswanata Arunallak. The program has been implemented by the National Livestock Technological Management Institute of the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock Resources, Land and Irrigation. It has been found that around 3 to 4% of paddy harvest is being destroyed in paddy storing. The aim is to minimize the wastage. It has also been pointed out that the farmers would be able to become full beneficiaries by storing paddy according to specific standards. Proper lightening of provisions of ventilation would enable to minimize the damages caused due to the insects and other species. The model paddy storages were selected centering on the Hividurava village in Uhana, Ampara. Checks amounting to 40,000 rupees each were handed over to 22 farmers. Paddy harvesting in the Yala season in the Bhavna district has been concluded. The officials of the Director of Agriculture says the excess harvest exceeding the anticipated target has been received. 22,000 hectares of land have come under paddy cultivation during the cultivation current Yala season.
The Special Task Force has arrested a suspect along with a stock of heroin and ice narcotics in Minuangoda. The police says more than 1 kilo of heroin and 308 grams of the ice narcotic substance were found in the possession of the suspect. The search operation was conducted according to an information received by the Police Special Task Force last evening. The suspect was taken into custody, was reported to have been a 37-year-old person who was residing in a special two-storied house at a monthly rent of 65,000 rupees. The suspect was said to have distributed heroin among others and provided a sum of 15,000 rupees as a daily wage for this purpose. The Minuangoda police station is conducting further investigations. The three armed forces, the police and the police special task force, are jointly engaged in control narcotics and underworld activities. A large group was arrived in yesterday's operation as well. 907 persons have been arrested regarding narcotic-related offences. In addition, 17 suspects directly connected to criminal activities and 343 others who have been issued warrants were also arrested. The police has also arrested a person who has made an undue impact by calling via telephone the Baharagama police station, posing as a Secretary of Minister of Public Defence Anand Vijaypala with the objective of releasing a person arrested by the Baharagama police over keeping in possession a stock of heroin narcotics. A legal action has been taken in this connection and a special investigation is underway. The Ministry of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs reiterates that nobody in the minister's staff makes any influence to the Sri Lanka police to arrest any person in undue undue manner. The ministry requests the general public to inform the ministry if any person found to be engaged in such unjust mediations.
And let's move on to some more local news items in brief. The Polonnaruwa District Agricultural Department says 30,000 hectares of paddy lands in the Bin Area Farmer Settlement Scheme has come under cultivation in the current yellow season. Our correspondent says that, however, an insect disease is fast spreading under the current climatic condition. The farmers are engaged in controlling the epidemic using drones and automated insecticide spraying machines. Several programs are being implemented in this connection in the Bin Area Farm Settlement. A positive nutrition program covering the Valapani and Ragala Medical Officer of Health Division in the Dura Elia district is to be implemented. It is a joint government project to maintain the food security of children. The nutrition project was conducted by the World Vision International Institute during the COVID pandemic. An 8-year-old male child was killed due to burnt injuries where their house in Dehigastalav in Balangud was subjected to a fire at dawn today. The victim was Mohammed Nashaz Riaz, and it has been reported that the incidents occurred when the parents were away from the house due to a dispute. Further investigations continue in this regard. An all-night Pirit chanting ceremony was conducted last night in parallel to the Esala festival of the Bellanvilla Rajamaha Vihare under the patronage of Chief Incumbent of the Vihare, Venerable Dr. Bellanvilla Dhammaratana Thera. The Devaduta and Kumbal Perahara of the Esala festival has been conducted for the 75th occasion. The Pavadu Perahara will be held on the 14th and Ransivilla Perahara on the 15th. The Randoli Mahaperahara will parade the streets on the 16th. A container was reported to have fallen on a prime mover vehicle on the Colombo harbour, killing the driver of the vehicle. It has been reported that the accident occurred when a container about to be loaded to the prime mover clashed with another container. The victim was a 36-year-old resident of Dadigama. The machine operator engaged in loading containers was taken into police custody. A suspect who was filling in a luxury jeep with a 9mm pistol was arrested by the Vatavela police station. The 50-year-old suspect was arrested while travelling in a jeep with his wife from Valigalla in Kampala to Nuwara. The police say a baby mongoose carrying in the vehicle without a permit was also apprehended and handed over to the wildlife officials.
Historical Ampara Uhande Murugan Kovil's annual festival closing ceremony named as Tirtham was conducted today with a participation of huge Hindu pilgrimage. Uhande Murugan Kovil is one of the historical value Murugan Kovils in Sri Lanka. It has strong relationship with Kataragama Murugan Kovil. Annual festival of this temple was started on the 3rd of this month. Chariot festival also was held yesterday with the participation of huge devotees. As the chain of the festival today is the last day of the water cutting festival was also held. Now here's some development news in brief.
Road construction in the Hinguragura Divisional Secretariat Division in Polonnaruwa is taking place these days. Road construction towards the village Sattugaba in Giritale has commenced yesterday. The road with a span of 1.5 kilometers has not been repaired in the past 8 years. As a result, nearly 200 families have been subjected to extreme difficulties, and a sum of 57 billion rupees has been set aside for the road reconstruction. Deputy Minister T.B. Sarath has presided over the inauguration of the program. A program to repair houses in the plantations has gone underway under the Clean Sri Lanka program. The event has taken place with the participation of parliamentarians Manjula Suravira and Christinan Kalechevi under the first stage. 18 and estate houses in Norwood and Venture in the Hatton zone are to be repaired. The Vandurama Rilalamulla bridge was to remain in an extremely dilapidated condition is to be renovated at a cost of 8 billion rupees. Parliamentarian Tilanka Gamage has commenced the repair program today. The Tabavala Road in Deviduvara is to be renovated with carpeting under the government's rural road construction project. Parliamentarian Ajanta Gammavagi has presided over the project today. And now stay tuned with international news after this break. Welcome back with international news. And US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are scheduled to meet in Alaska next Friday to discuss the future of the war in Ukraine. The meeting was announced by Trump on social media and later confirmed by Kremlin spokesperson, who said Alaska was a logical choice due to the proximity to Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized that any peace solutions must include Ukraine and said he is ready to work with all partners towards lasting peace. The announcement has come shortly after Trump suggested that Ukraine might need to cede some territory to end the conflict, which began the Russia's invasion in February 2022. Trump said that there would be some territorial swaps benefiting both sides, but did not provide details. Reports indicate that White House is considering an agreement where Russia would keep the Donbas region and Crimea while giving up parts of Kherson, and however it remains unclear if Ukraine and European allies would skip such terms.
A fast-growing bushfire north of Los Angeles in the state of California has forced thousands to evacuate as firefighters work to control the blaze. Officials reported that hundreds of firefighters battled the canyon fire overnight after it started on Thursday afternoon in Ventura and Los Angeles counties. The fire spread rapidly due to temperatures reaching 100 degrees combined with strong winds. By Friday evening, authorities said that the fire had spread over 5,370 acres and was 28% contained. They noted that progress was made overnight as cooler temperatures helped firefighting efforts. Los Angeles County Supervisor Catherine Barger said that she warned that extreme heat and low humidity had created dangerous conditions, allowing flames to spread quickly. In your sports news tonight, 18-year-old Yavan David is set to make sporting history as the first Sri Lankan driver to compete in the FIA Formula 3 Championship after signing with AIX Racing for the 2026 season.
Yavan David, born in Colombo in July 2007, began karting at age 6 and quickly rose through the ranks, earning a notable second place at the 2022 FIA Motorsport Games. In 2024, he completed his first full season in single-seaters, participating in F4 United Arab Emirates, Spanish F4 and a one-off appearance in Euro Cup 3. His breakthrough came in October that year in the final round of Euro Formula Open at Monza, where he debuted with 2 wins and a third-place finish. Today, David is a title contender in the 2025 Euro Formula Open Championship with Team Motorpark. So far, he has secured 4 wins, 5 additional podiums and claimed pole position in this season. He also recently made his GB3 debut at Silverstone with Excel Motorsport. His move to AIX Racing in 2026 marks a major milestone not just for the 18-year-old but also for the Sri Lanka's motorsport legacy, as he becomes the first from his nation ever to compete in FIA Formula 3.
But Yavan David with Excel Motorsport, he's starting down in 16th. One of the most accomplished Sri Lankan drivers, was actually in the World Motorsports Games representing Sri Lanka not far into the past. I think it was in Sydney this year. And he's got one of the most fantastic race suits. It's like proper Sri Lankan vibe. And I caught up with him early in the weekend to see how he's getting to grips with the new GB3 car this year.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Obviously, first time in the car this weekend and first time experiencing DRS and racing at Silverstone. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, we had to start from the pit lane, but still made a lot of overtakes and got up right behind my teammate and a last lap overtake 2.
Now you're doing Euro Formula at the moment. What's the biggest difference between this car and the car you're used to racing? I guess DRS is the big one.
Yeah, DRS is the big one, but also that's a turbocharged car and this is naturally aspirated. Just getting used to the throttle with that as well. And also things like in low speed, the Euro Formula has a lot of downforce all around, whereas this is more mechanical grip in low speed. So it's a few differences. Each one has their strengths and weaknesses, so obviously just adapting.
We see Michael Shim back in the GB3 Championship. You're racing together in Euro Formula as teammates. What's he told you about GB3?
Well, he's told me a couple things and about racing in Silverstone before, because obviously he has raced here. But yeah, we're keeping it friendly. He told me about his sessions in Friday and Thursday, and I haven't spoken to him after the race yet, but we'll see what he says.
Of course, on opposing teams here, you got to keep a little bit secret from each other, which is good. Let's learn a bit more about you then. What made you want to get into racing? Was there a particular driver or family member or what?
Well, I was around 6 years old and it was 2014. I remember my parents took me to the track for the first time. My dad and my grandfather had a history of classic car racing in Sri Lanka, but nothing international, and I drove a go-kart for the first time at 6, and that's the first time I could remember anything, and it's just stuck with me ever since, you know. It's just been my life that I've been driving, had my love for cars, and since then haven't stopped.
And I believe you're the first Sri Lankan driver to win like a major race, a race in a major race series.
Yeah, obviously the first Sri Lankan in single-seaters and in Euro Formula and stuff, so very happy to carry the flag and have a different flag compared to the others on the timing sheet. So it's very cool, but very proud of Sri Lanka.
I was going to say, you got a very Sri Lankan orientated race suit as well, I've seen.
Yeah, a few people have been saying they love it. It's from the Motorsport games last year, but glad to use it this weekend. It's a great weekend to show it to the world.
And what's the dream?
The dream is Formula 1, simple.
And how are you going to achieve it?
Do the best I can, obviously work as hard as possible and test my limits, you know. We all have limits, but it's just how far you can go above and beyond.
Looking at the F1 grid at the moment, which team, which driver would you like to have as a co-driver?
Well, as a teammate, obviously the most experienced, someone like Verstappen is good. Obviously, you know, you'd have to adapt to driving his kind of style of car, but there's also Russell, Leclerc, Norris, a lot of drivers that can be good teammates. And in terms of teams, whoever's the quickest.
And with that, we conclude tonight news. Join us tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita, signing with Kasuni. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.